Raising women's voices, one story at a time. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. I am Jenette Jerzik, your co-host today. I'm the national director of this little thing we call She Said. And with me in the WCIA studio, my beautiful co-host, Kerry Rosso.
Hi. Here we are, Kerry Rosso, co-founder, co-host, co-everything.
We've been co-doing this thing for quite a few years now.
Yep.
We started the She Said Project podcast 5-6 years ago with a single mission of reconnecting with the women who've been on stage in a That's What She Said performance. It's all about women sharing stories.
We started talking and basically for 5 years straight now. We just
we can't
kept
stop.
it going.
We can't stop.
Yammer.
But it began even earlier than that. You and your friends had this vision of just creating a safe space for women to come together, share stories, connect, feel things. Okay, maybe
we didn't do any of that.
I didn't with that one too.
Let's be clear.
Here, hold on, I'm going to do that. Let's say that again. No, but you wanted women to connect in a real way, right? Sharing stories, laughing together, crying together, being real, being human.
Because that's life. We always say, life isn't always all funny. It isn't always all sad or serious. And, I've told you before, it started in the Moffice, which is what we called our mom office, the Moffice. And that's how we rolled. We were laughing, we were serious, we shared whatever embarrassing story had happened to us the night before, or if we were going through something serious. And we felt like, let's give women a microphone. They have stuff to say. The whole spectrum, funny, sad, serious, all of it. And here we are.
I got to join the team in year 3, and it has been the ride of my life. I've been directing the shows since 2015. I've got to work with you on the podcast, launch the teen program, publish the first book, venture out into new communities. It has been so much fun. And I've worked with hundreds of women now, all because of this one idea that you and your friends had. But a question that I get asked all the time, and since I'm here with you, I'm gonna put this on you. Why is it called That's What She Said? Where did the name come from?
Well, honestly, because in that Moffice, about 52 times a day, somebody would say something and it would be met with, that's what she said, har, 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 har. There you go. And so then when we were trying to find the name, some things sounded too downer, too serious, and then some things sounded like it was, a comedy show, and we wanted it to be everything in between. And we thought, well, that's what she said. The She Said Project reflects us, but it also reclaimed and sort of put the onus on women in the spoken word. We don't have a flashy set. It's all about the microphone and a woman braving the stage. That's it.
Giving women a microphone.
Yep.
It really is that simple. And we've met with so many women who've shared their stories and the impact that sharing their stories has had on their lives, their communities. And guess what we get to do today?
Shine a light on somebody who braved the stage.
That's right. We get to bring our friend to join us on the podcast today. Now, this is a new setup for us. For quite a few years, you and I have been doing this podcast thing, and it's been audio only. We've been hiding out in a studio, maybe wearing,
it was pajama
clothes.
pants friendly.
Yeah, it was very pajama pants and no makeup friendly. And now we're in a real studio with lights. Mm-hmm. This is new, exciting, a little bit scary.
Yeah. I know that the screen is right down there that I can see, and I'm crazy eyes because I don't even want to look. I just want to focus in on you, and now focus in on
our friend. Our friend is here with us. So she's right here. She's right here in the studio. We can't even escape her. Welcome, Marguerite Bailey, who's here with us in the WCIA studio. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You have no idea.
You're one of the very first guests we've had here in our new setup.
Ooh.
And so forgive us for really being green here. We're figuring this whole new thing out. But our goal here is to talk about the story that you shared on stage in That's What She Said. Just over a year ago, you were in the Danville cast.
I was. That was quite the experience, and it was a lot.
Okay, a lot. Let's unpack that. When you say a lot, what do you mean?
I like to talk. I like talking with you, like having coffee, like meeting with the girls, like sharing stories. But to get up and share something that's really deep down and really personal just took a lot of effort. It took a lot of thought. And it was a little bit emotionally draining, but at the same time rewarding. The feedback that I received after the event was not what I expected. I expected like my good friends and my family to give me a hug and job well done, even if I fell on my face or something, they were going to say that. But the feedback that I received from people I didn't even know was amazing and overwhelming at the same time.
So I loved working with you. And if you ask anybody in this community about Marguerite Bailey, oh my gosh, Marguerite, oh my God, I love her. And you do. You know everyone. You're a big networker. You, like, coffee dates are your jam. I think we've had several.
Oh, wait, let me just point out, I've had 0 coffees
All
with
right,
you
well,
two.
pull out
So
your
apparently
calendar.
you've
We're
all
gonna
been
get
having
this.
coffees without me, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Get it on the calendar.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, I'll get my calendar out.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, but how did you get roped into this? Like, I know that we all had connected and knew each other, and then how did Jenette
You know, this is kind of embarrassing. My daughter took the stage before I did on That's What Teens Said. And she did an amazing job. Cried a little. She was the first speaker out. She had one of the longest presentations. And I realized that, you know what, I got to own up. I got to bring it. My daughter did it before I did.
I am so proud of her to this day. We had a fantastic time working together. She has shown up for the 3-day teen program. She's shown up for the internship. She has been an ally, you know, and a champion for all things she said for quite some time, and I just adore that girl. But I love that. I love that you saw what she was doing as, you know, bravery, but also as a challenge for you.
Yes. Because you know me, I'm kind of competitive, just a little, just a tiny little bit. You know, I love that. That's one of the things my daughter brings to the table, and that she got from me, that I proudly say. But I have worked, as you know, in the community and in engagement. But when you put yourself out there and you are vulnerable, you have to bring something that is just 100% genuine, and what really, for lack of a better term, broke you down, and what really impacted you in your life.
Absolutely. So I'm going to touch on that because you have been a public figure-ish, very well known in the communities from your professional career. And what you just shared, That's What She Said can be a platform where women get to be seen as human, as real. Like, these experiences that we have as women, we've all been there, we've all been through stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that's taboo to talk about. We're not supposed to talk about trauma. We're not supposed to talk about death. We're not supposed to talk about grief and these hard things, you know, especially when you're public facing. And you chose something incredibly personal and difficult to talk about. Do you want to share it with our listeners?
Sure. I don't know how much you want me to share.
Well, we're gonna go to the tape. We're gonna
Okay.
cut to it, but just share what your story was about and why that was your topic.
Well, for me, and I think for a lot of people, whether it would be a woman or a man, just anybody, your mom is probably the closest, dearest person in your life. And when I lost my mom, that was hard. And I chose that because while I strongly support That's What She Said and understand that it's a platform for women and to empower them, there's people in their life that is impacted by what they went through as well. And so I wanted to share something that could be received and, if you will, empower a unit, whether it was the spouse or a brother or a sister. And so I chose the passing of my mom because it was so impactful, and it was incredibly hard, and it impacted everybody around me, and I knew that.
Well, and I think that people, because like Jenette said, you are public facing and people have an expectation of what someone's going to talk about. And we always tell people, if they are in any way public facing in the community, surprise, you can't talk about any of that, because, you know, that's sort of your shtick. We want to know something personal and from your heart, and we want to get a glimpse into your life. And boy did we, you delivered. It was really a beautiful tribute to your mom.
I appreciate that very much.
So I think we need to bring our friends in on what we're talking about. So we're going to share your story from the show. But first, we're going to take just a moment to catch our breath, and we'll be right back. Okay, so for our friends listening and watching today on the podcast, for you really to understand Marguerite's story and what we're going to talk about, let's go ahead and share her actual performance live on stage in That's What She Said Danville 2024. And here is her story titled, She Knew.
On a hot Sunday in August, I traveled from Indiana to Tucson, Arizona right after church. While it's hot in Indiana, it's not Tucson hot. As I disembarked the nonstop flight Southwest Airlines offered, I could feel the heat rising from the thin gray carpet in the corridor. I was already uneasy and felt a bit nauseous, and the heat was not helping. The baggage claim pickup was easy, and I met my ride fairly quickly. We drove straight to Tucson Memorial Hospital. My grandmother accompanied me, and when we arrived, we were met with a team of medical staff, a doctor, a neurologist, a nurse, and a patient technician. I knew this was going to be hard. It had only been 2 weeks since I was last there. I had traveled to Tucson to celebrate my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary and to visit my sister and mother. During that time, I learned that my mother's health had been declining. She had headaches. She was not herself and had become weary most days. She was diabetic, had Crohn's disease, and was exhibiting some strange behavior. We had spoken about me being named her medical power of attorney. She was not working due to her health and had fallen behind on her bills. When I was leaving, she said she wanted to come live with me. I knew something was wrong, but I never imagined her health would turn for the worse in such a short amount of time. As I remembered our last exchange, it became clear she knew. Not long after I left, my mother had been found unconscious and was taken to the hospital. They did not find the DNR bracelet that my mother had purchased but was not wearing. Again, I thought, she knew. Over the past 2 weeks, I had been in contact with the staff at the hospital every day. They explained she was in a coma, that they had to insert a breathing machine because she could not take full breaths on her own. I had approved morphine as needed to keep her comfortable. I had conveyed to the nursing staff to put on TV shows like I Love Lucy and musicals. She loved Flashdance, Grease, and Dirty Dancing. But now, as my grandmother and I arrived at the hospital, we were escorted to my mother's room. The woman laying in the bed looked familiar, but it was not my mother from just 2 weeks ago. Her fists were balled up so tight that they had to put washcloths with duct tape so that her nails would not go through her skin. The breathing apparatus was making a loud suction noise. And when I looked closer, when she exhaled, green bile was exiting her body. Her eyes were closed, but still twitched a little, and her skin was very pale. I knew she was dying. I knew she was dying before I arrived, but this was intense. Again, I felt sick to my stomach. After listening to the reports of my mother's condition and reviewing her lab results, MRI images with noticeable brain decay, and seeing her in person, I was faced with a very difficult decision. It was my responsibility and my decision what to do next. In the state of Arizona, I was the power of attorney for both my mother's estate and medical decisions. It felt like such a huge burden in this moment. I asked my grandmother her wishes, and she answered she would support what I thought best. She said, "You have always known your mother best." My sister, on the other hand, wanted to know why her input was not being considered. After taking the night to sleep on my decision, I informed the staff I would like to proceed with a natural death. No machines. This was no life for my mother. She was a vibrant woman, a force, a friend once called her. She loved to roller skate, loved to swim. She had been an amazing swimmer and diver with many medals from competitions.
She played the flute and loved going to the zoo or playing video games on the cube with her grandkids. Laying there in that bed in a coma was not how she wanted to barely live out the last days of her life. My sister asked if her pastor could come and pray with the family. I agreed, and we scheduled a family gathering in my mother's room. I went home to get an outfit for my mother. No one needed to see her in that state. I found a black sparkly top where she would not have to wear a bra. Her favorite aquamarine earrings, they were her birthstone. And I brought my bag of Clinique freebies that I had sent to her on Mother's Day. She always wanted my samples. I asked the patient technician to bring in a basin of cool water and towels. I washed her hair, cleaned her face, and even shaved those midlife pesky whiskers. Put on the makeup, and when the nurse returned, she said she looked peaceful and almost smiling. The staff removed the tubes and whatnot, only leaving the morphine while the family said their goodbyes. I knew I had done the right thing. She was at peace. I inquired about how long we could expect my mother to sustain what little life she had in her. They expected 1 to 2 days. While she was in the hospital, I had to get her affairs in order. She had a single wide trailer that she was evicted from backspace rent until it was paid. She had a bird named Oliver that needed a home. There were legal matters to take care of, and the expected end of life, service, and burial. Feeling overwhelmed was an understatement. I felt like I was wearing one of those huge backpacks for hiking that weighed almost as much as I did. The scene from Runaway Bride, where Julia Roberts fell over backwards after putting on her pack, came to mind. So much had to be done. The first order of business was her personal belongings. I met with my sister at the mobile home and began the purge. As we started to take down the items on the shelf of her closet, we found perfectly wrapped birthday and Christmas gifts with bows and tags for all my children. She knew. As I teared up and realized how much she knew, I was met with a disheartened spirit from my sister. "Why only your kids?" she said under her breath. I thought it was obvious that it was because she lived locally and my mother would see my sister and her grandchildren at their birthdays and holidays, whereas I lived in Illinois. That was hard. My heart was breaking, but it was my sister who felt more broken and hurt. I went by the hospital again, this time with my aunt. The nurse came in and said in a cheery voice, "Wow, your mother's like an Energizer bunny." I exchanged glances with my aunt and raised my eyebrows. I have no poker face. The poor nurse tried to apologize for her remarks, but it was fine. It made me laugh. We both knew the time was approaching when my mother would take her last breath. I pulled up a chair and watched the movie on the TV with my mother and had a one-way conversation. I told her the mobile home had been taken care of. Her bird, Oliver, had a new home. Damn bird made me nuts singing the Saints go marching in. And I had made arrangements at the church with plans to use the photo of when she had long hair and before the Crohn's had taken a toll on her. And that per her wishes, we would have a celebration in her honor. I had ordered a cake from Albertson's Bakery, where she once worked as a cake decorator, and pizza would be served. I told her that she would not have any more pain, no more bills, and no longer have to fight. I had been tracking her decline, and if I was right, she would pass early morning. I went back to my grandmother's house, set my alarm, and found sleep. I sat straight up before my alarm went off and called the hospital immediately. I felt a void, like emptiness in my chest, and a weight all at the same time, and I felt it hard to breathe. I knew that she had left this earth. On Sunday, we all wore shades of red or pink, and we were ready to have the formal memorial service. We had set out 20 to 30 chairs, expecting a small crowd. As I was greeting people coming through the door, more and more people kept coming and coming. It was not like the senior pastor had predicted. There were church members, past co-workers, my friends from high school whom I had not seen for years, my sister's extended family, and a slew of church ladies. The service began. Several pastors spoke about her, sharing stories of her involvement with VBS and singing in the choir. I had created the obligatory slideshow filled with fond memories. My grandmother nudged me to order more pizza. So I took out my flip phone outside and called Domino's to see if I could get the same BOGO deal, because getting a bargain was something I inherited from my mother. As I returned, I looked around and I saw the full life that my mother had. She had impacted so many lives, and in that moment, I knew I had done right by her.
Wow. Carrie, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm not a crier. Jenette knows this about me, but man, you're killing me with that one.
I'm not a crier either, but I'm feeling like my eyes are a little glistening over here.
Had you seen it since? Is that the first time you've seen it in a
No,
while?
I didn't see it. I did pull out my script just so I could be prepared today, but I don't think that prepared me enough. That was hard to watch myself on screen.
Not just hard to
gosh.
watch yourself, because we all love doing that, right? But watching yourself talk about something so personal, so intimate. Tell us how that feels. Go back to that night.
Oh,
What do you remember?
I remember feeling like I was back in Tucson. When I first opened and I talked about being on that airplane, I wasn't kidding. It was hot. Tucson just radiates the heat. And when your stomach is already woozing and you've been on an air flight, not going to lie, probably had a little bit of liquid courage right before I got on the airplane.
No one blames you.
just wasn't feeling it. I remember the flood of memories going through my mother's possessions and belongings, and seeing her clothes and shoes and knickknacks and pictures, and just, does your mother have a certain perfume or a certain scent that you know that your mother's there? And I can remember smelling that. Just all those memories. As I mentioned in my performance, I didn't live in Tucson, Arizona, so going back was always, got to see all the things, and you packed in as much as you could. And
you had just been there.
I had
So
just
you
been
were
there
traveling back.
celebrating, and the spotlight was on my grandparents, of course, and then her health issues, so I was trying to juggle that, and I felt awful. I felt guilty because I did not pay attention as much as I possibly could have when I was there. I knew something was wrong. We talked about the power of attorney. I talked to the doctors, and I talked to her about, let's get you into a neurologist. Let's look at your diet. Let's look at you possibly coming to Illinois, but we would have to transfer doctor, your insurance, your items, bring the damn bird, all the things. And I didn't take the time. And I feel like people who have lost a family member or someone close, but your mother, you regret not taking that time or having that one last cup of coffee with them or just listening to them more. You're busy taking care of your kids, you're busy living life. And I regret that I didn't do that. But at the same time, going through all the motions and doing all those things that I knew would please her. I wasn't kidding about the cake, and I wasn't kidding about the celebration. She didn't want to be mourned. Don't be wearing black at my funeral. And I know that all those people showing up for her, showing up for me.
Yeah.
Even in life, we talk about, showing up for, that's what she said, production. When it really counts and somebody shows up for you, it matters so much.
I kept thinking about all of the different components of relationships and honoring relationships. Mm-hmm. So when you said you went with your grandmother, was that your mom's mother?
It was my mom's mother, and that was significant. You can only say so much during a That's What She Said production, but if you think about that, you're in charge of making a decision about someone else's child. That's my mother, but that's her oldest daughter.
That's what I was thinking. What a lovely gift to you, because I'm a mom, and to think, it's really hard for me to even envision giving up control in any circumstance. But especially about my kids, mm-hmm. because you raise them, you spend their whole life guiding them, and then to sort of honor you, to say, this is for you to decide, I thought was really beautiful.
And that's one of the things I remember too, when she said, you've always known your mother best. How amazing for your grandmother that's her mother, to say you knew her better than my own self, that you were that close, that she honored my relationship. And I think that, I don't know how many people caught that, but if you have that much respect in a relationship and that much love, that honoring is pure love.
Well, there's a quote somewhere, which I'm not going to do justice, but it's something like, we're all just walking each other home. And your story seemed like, you talked about your aunt and your grandmother, and then, you're trying to juggle, your own mothering at the same time. And it just kept making me think of that. All of those people together with you were there to walk her home.
Yes, it is. My young children weren't there with me. They were at home, and that was appropriate because they were only 4 years old. They would have never understood. And I was never going to take small children to the hospital with all that going on. But even the nursing staff were so amazing to honor my wishes. I was probably the most demanding daughter, calling every day, what's your stats? What's your blood pressure?
See, that's how you remember it. But to this staff in hospice like, you were just that caring daughter who was, making sure everything was taken care of. You were not annoying at all, but in your mind, that's how you remember it. But you just wanted the best for her, and I'm sure, they've seen worse. I'm just saying, they've probably seen worse.
I can vouch for that.
I mean, come on. I don't think those were some crazy requests. Could you please play Grease on TV? Like, that would be my final wish. I'm just saying, if my daughters ever see this episode, please play Grease on my last day. That would
Dirty
be like
Dancing. She had good movie taste.
She had great taste. That'd be the way I want to go.
How old was your mom?
So she passed when she was 55. Yeah.
And how much is that hitting home in this room right here?
As we all cough, and
that hurt. I was like, okay, I was waiting for 80s, and
that was part of it.
Wow,
I wasn't going to
young.
honor my
How old
mom.
were you?
Oh, well, we're not going to go there.
In the story, though.
I was a baby. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
55.
55. And that was the reason for, no, we're doing up this right. We're not doing the old church service. We're not playing I'll fly away, oh glory. No.
No, we
had Oliver for that.
Those details were so specific. The pizza, the cake from Albertsons, where she used to work as a cake decorator. I mean, those details came through in the story that you shared. And like you said, you can't share everything in a 8-9 minute story, but that's what the podcast is for. We always say, save it for the podcast. We want to know the story behind the story. We want to know why those details were important. Now we know.
So had your children heard, because they were so little, had they heard this, or when they saw it, were there surprises for them?
So my daughter was in the audience, and she immediately afterwards, she's like, Mom, I remember those presents. She goes, I remember, because she's like, Mom, you don't put bows. I'm one of those gift bag women.
Oh, totally busted.
Right?
Totally busted.
So when I talked about perfectly wrapped, I mean it was perfectly wrapped. The Macy's wrapper people that can get the perfect little angle and the tape, and it's like the writing and the bow is centered with the curly cues.
That moment got me when you were pulling the gifts out of the closet and realized, and obviously we chose that line, she knew, it was repeated through your story very intentionally, but that was a moment, man, where the gifts came out and you knew she knew something.
Yeah.
To be that prepared.
To be that prepared, to shop a year in advance for birthdays and Christmas. Man, and she was always the best gift giver. And how cool is your grandma to play GameCube games? Like, I know they don't make that anymore, but that would be like PS2 today, right?
Right. But
like
to spend that
to,
kind
like
of
to
quality
practice
time.
Mario Kart so she could try to beat her grandchildren.
Is that where the competitive spirit comes from?
I'm pretty
bit?
sure.
A little bit?
And the swimming, like, I'm not kidding about the medals. Oh my gosh, she was an amazing diver.
Yeah.
I tried to be on the swim team. No diet, no swim for me.
No.
I tried my freshman year of high school, and I was like, nope, not gonna happen. But she could dive, she could swim. The flute. Ironically, my youngest son plays the flute. He also plays other. But yeah.
Still, what a legacy.
Yeah. So my daughter, going back to your question, because sorry, segue, she just was like, the lights went on about why, Grandma L, had passed, and why, there wasn't pictures later, why there was only pictures up to a certain point in life. because they knew, but it didn't really think about it. My oldest son he wasn't able to come. He was working, but his now wife was there. And she told him, I feel like I just got a picture into your mom nobody's ever seen.
Oh, I'm sure.
She's like, when she told me about the audience around her, she's like, they were gasping, they were crying. I felt bad. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Oops.
And the woman behind her apparently said, oh my God.
Wow.
And she's like, I feel like I just got to know your mom so much closer because she saw my story.
Yeah.
And she said this, and I don't know, I wasn't there, but and I take this as a huge badge of honor, but she's like, no wonder she's such a powerful supporter of my kids. I try to be, there for everything. I don't want to miss basketball. I don't want to miss triathlon. I don't want to miss anything. My daughter told me that I couldn't come to her swearing in when she went to the union, which you know about. And I was like, well, why not? I want to be there when she takes her oath.
Okay, I want to know more about that story, but let's take a breath here because this is a lot. This is a lot for, unfortunately, no one is immune to these topics. We all have parents and we all have loved ones that have said goodbye. So, okay, we're going to go have a tissue break. Find the tissues. We'll be right back.
I can't believe
Now, where's the segment time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, whew. I needed a breather right there. So it's true. None of us are immune to these moments in life, but we went down a very sad, dark path there. But these memories, these are the things you will cherish. And to share these very personal memories with a room full of strangers. Like you said, there was audible gasping. You got reports from your loved ones in the audience. What other kinds of reactions have you gotten since you shared your story?
Oh, wow. One thing that came out was some families came and they had their husbands or other people that were supporting them. And the men, which really stood out to me, said, you made me cry. And so something touched them. And someone picked up on something in the audience that was like, you said something about a single wide trailer. I never have shared with people where my family's economic situation was or where I came from. And that was surprising to a lot of people.
Who know you today.
Yes.
Right.
People who know me know that, classic red heels and dress and love my margaritas. And so they would have never guessed that my family was not medium income. My mother really struggled in life. And she definitely was on disability and Medicaid and Medicare. And that's part of why I went into my previous occupation, is because I could have a heart for those people who are fighting to get through payday to payday. I knew what that felt like. I knew what it felt like to have so much money go for prescriptions, to work on their health. And then there was that mental health aspect I didn't really touch on. But there was lots of bouts of depression and going through those things. And I've noticed that's what she said can also help with those things, which is another reason why I chose to go on stage.
Well, we firmly believe when you choose to share what you're going through, first of all, the sense of relief that you feel, but to see other people who are struggling with the same thing, say thank you. Thank you for saying it out loud. Thank you for letting me know I'm not alone. Such a sense of connection that's what she said strives to be that safe place for women to be heard, to be seen. Like you had a choice to make. You didn't have to reveal those secrets from your family life to tell your story. But it is amazing how 3 words, single wide trailer, tells so much, right? It gives away so much, but it adds so much depth and understanding. So it's not a mystery to me that sharing this part of your story was impactful. I do fortunately get to see that happen again and again. But I'm just so grateful to you because I know it's not easy. I know how hard it was. And so it took some serious cojones to stand up there.
She said cojones.
I did.
I heard
I said
that
it.
too.
See, it doesn't count if it's not in English. It did.
Oh,
It
that's
doesn't-
right.
It doesn't count.
Okay.
Took 3 years of getting me up on that stage.
It did. So that's another secret. Yeah.
Well,
this
one of
wasn't the
things
first
I
time
love-
she was asked.
We always say that we want the speakers to be that old saying of we want it to be a window so that people can see into someone else's life that maybe isn't like theirs and give them some understanding, or we want it to be a mirror so that the people see and hear this story and say, oh my gosh, me too. And yours really was that. I thought that it was so relatable because we all have either lost someone that we love or thinking about, if you haven't lost a parent yet, thinking about going through that. And then, there's so much that makes us other in the world right now. And I think it was really beautiful to, you really connected with people from the stage, and then it sounds like after, but it really made people feel connected instead of providing yet one more thing that made us feel disconnected.
Thank you for that. I think that's true. I mean, there was one gentleman that mentioned about the power of attorney business. He didn't realize that in some states it was different, and they had to go through that. Just those things that weigh on you. You're trying to grieve your lost one, and you're having to deal with the legalities and the red tape and the coroner and the cemetery and the plot and the whole 9 yards.
It's eye-opening for sure.
Yes.
Now that you are in this chapter of your life, now we keep alluding to, can we just share that you had worked in the public sector?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you worked for some state government, some state representatives.
Correct.
But that put you in a beautiful spotlight, put you in an opportunity to connect with the communities that you serve in a very special, very unique way. But now you're in a new role in Champaign-Urbana.
What?
Yes, I changed
And
last
it is,
year.
it is still very much aligned
Spill
in
it.
community connection. And I'll let you share with Kerry what you've been up to.
Yet again, I'm just playing
You're the
catch up
last
over
to know.
here. You
Last to
guys
know.
have coffee.
Actually,
You're
we're going to
sharing
pause
your
for
new
just
jobs.
a second here, and then we'll have
We're
the big reveal.
We're gonna
Okay,
pause
big
while they
reveal.
apologize for leaving me out. Go ahead. Go
Let the
ahead.
groveling begin. We'll be right back.
Okay, big reveal. And before coffee, I now work for the Champaign Park District. So I kind of lived life backwards. I did county government, then I did state government, and now I am really close to public engagement. Like, I'm up close in public. And every other corner is Champaign Park District, right? Beautiful flower islands. And this is summer. So like right now, all the things are popping, whether it's programs and kids and families and silver sneakers and yoga in the park and yoga with the goats. And although they had to cancel movie in the night tonight because of the rain. But anyway.
That is what happens
How
at the Park
exciting.
District.
Right?
You are at the mercy of Mother
So
Nature.
I have found through my life that public engagement is definitely something I enjoy. I think that's what she said is amazing because it does that. But I definitely feel that I can use my administrative, what they call executive knowledge, and having those ties with the government can help tremendously in the community.
Using your powers for good.
That's right.
I love that community engagement can look so different.
Oh, yeah.
In different vehicles. But I feel like you found a place for your gifts to shine.
Yes, yes.
What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, now, hold on. I'm not as cool as the planning and the gardening.
See, nobody knows that. You can just tell us. We'll ooh and ah for you.
Typical day
We'll cheer
is
you on.
behind the scenes, typing up the minutes after last board meeting, preparing for the next board meeting, going to different meetings, looking at what's next, working with the finance or HR for training, looking at those capital improvements, looking at the strategic plan, what's next for the next 5 years, hanging out with people that know a lot more than I do when it comes to ADA and making our parks safe and enjoyable for everyone. I've
Love
learned
that.
so much about CUSR, which is Champaign-Urbana Special Recreation, hoping to see that grow. Such a huge need. And grants, which I'll never get away from.
No, impossible. I think Champaign-Urbana, our community where our flagship show is held, where it all began, I think we have a very robust Parks and Rec department. I think there's a lot of support that goes into that, but this community relies on the programming quite a bit. There is a lot of attention paid to accessibility in our community. I think that's very important. And we have a very special connection to the Champaign Park District because of our teen program. They are very much a partner of ours when we run our teen empowerment program. That's what teens say, which you can learn about on our website. But the Park District has been a supporter of ours for many, many years.
Well, I think everybody probably feels this way about our community, but so much of the success of the She Said project has been because of our community, and people just kept saying yes. You know, it's and so much support. Our parks department, our theaters, the people. And I think, oh my gosh, I'm sure everybody feels this way, but Champaign-Urbana it's a great, big, small town.
Love it.
I agree. Can't say anything bad.
So we can come work with you? You're going to let us
Absolutely.
come over?
Well,
Bring your friends to work day?
totally.
I was going to say, where is the sign up so that anyone listening right now can sign up to have coffee with Marguerite Bailey?
You probably can just Google me and find my cell number. It is totally available. I tend to enjoy Tuesdays. Tuesdays are a good day. Plus, it's Panera, where you get the baker's dozen for $10.
I'm sorry, what is this deal that I do not know about?
You don't know about
No,
the baker's
tell me more.
dozen Tuesday?
We're going to have to get Panera to be a sponsor. Wink, wink. Just kidding.
No, didn't you know on Tuesdays for real that you can get the baker's dozen for $10 at Panera?
I know now.
That's where our next meeting is. Okay,
And they
it's
have
done.
the best vanilla lattes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to hear more about after the show. So how you felt? Like, were you?
Oh, wow.
Well, it's been a year
that-
now. There's a processing time, right?
Yes. It was.
And your cast. So one of the things that I think is the most special about each show is the cast and how
The
close
group of
they
women.
get and what beautiful connections they have. So talk about that.
Okay. Well, first of all, our cast was amazing.
Amazing.
And
Completely.
we're the best dancers. And
Oh, this was unique. So a lot of our shows end with a song, as many of our fans know, but oftentimes we have a soloist or even sometimes a sing-along. This cast, every one of them was a singer. And so we picked a song. They each had a solo. We organized this literally in the 11th hour.
Yes.
The ladies were in the dressing rooms, like writing the lyrics on the palms of their hands.
great.
And just trying to remember which lyrics they were supposed to sing. It was so good, though. It was so good, though.
And the pitch of every one of the ladies was amazing.
It was so good.
Yes. But we all have moves.
Yeah, we did the wobble at the end of the show, thanks to Ashton Greer.
Love.
Which is a nice way to really end that party and have that after show. Still talk to Ashton.
I talked to Ashton today.
I see. A couple of ladies I don't talk to often, but they're there. If you send out a message, they respond immediately. They're supporting you. Social media, you get that that love, We all are busy. We all have children. We all have crazy lives. It was really impactful. I think that the different ages in the audience was amazing. Families, children's, grandparents. I mean, if I remember correctly, the mayor was there.
Yes, I believe you're correct. Well, we always try to cast each show to truly represent the community that we're part of. And I think your cast did a great job of doing that, which reflects in the audience, the people that come to cheer them on. Like, we want all women's voices to be heard. Like, everyone deserves a seat at the table. Everyone. We say every woman deserves a seat at the table. No exceptions.
And the beauty, and even sometimes the same voice. That's why it's so important to us when we're casting that we have someone with a young perspective, somebody in their 20s, 30s, and then, I think we've had, people through their 80s, because even for myself, what I said when I was 20, when I thought I had all the answers, a lot of that has changed. And, my thoughts and experiences were very different at 25 than 35 and now 50s. But I sure hope that I grow and that I have new insight when I'm.
Oh my gosh, I think Tassie was the coolest person.
Coolest, right?
The coolest, the cutest, the brightest, the funnest. She doesn't age.
Does not. And she was a total surprise. She came out of nowhere.
She was amazing.
Who is this fabulous woman?
She can do it all on her own. I'm telling you, Tassie's amazing.
Okay, so let's talk stereotypes because We really do. When we're casting the show, we try to be really mindful of the diversity in age and the diversity in the content, diversity in story. And so sometimes, we're looking at, this is somebody in their 20s. She's really funny. She'll tell something funny. This is somebody I know who's in her 50s, and she has a really heart-wrenching story. And so often women will come in that we're counting on being funny, and they have a really powerful story that isn't funny, and they tell. And then sometimes people come in. One of my favorite speakers came in, and she said, so I know the box you're checking with me is lesbian and funny. And she was like, I'm not really funny, and I don't talk about being a lesbian. And she totally talked about being a lesbian, and she was hilarious.
She was hilarious. This is one of your favorite stories of all time.
You never know. So what was
Marguerite's box?
Yeah. Hey. What was the stereotype? What was It took a turn. There it was. And here we are. Didn't take us long, and now we're right back.
Back to where we started. But so you're saying what was presented on that stage?
What was because I don't think I was part of the discussion when you found Marguerite. Were you thinking, she's going to be serious? What were you thinking she would talk about?
Oh, I want to know. This is like inquiring minds want to know.
So you and I had coffee months before the show. In fact, I think we tried to cast you in a show a year prior.
You did.
And you told me pretty much your life story, as they do. I like to hear it all. And we sat there for a while going, if you had 7 minutes and a microphone, what would you talk about?
Obviously, you learned I need more than 7 minutes. Go ahead.
We all do. But that's the thing is you can't share it all. But let's share a piece that's going to have an impact. And we found that piece, and we talked about a couple of different, slices of your life. And I mean, always talking about losing a parent is universal. It's relatable. It was important to you in that time. And when we looked at the rest of the cast, which we try to do, we look at the variety, the topics. Is there humor? Is there levity? And it was the right topic. It was the right moment for you to shine. It really was. And it wasn't easy, but it was important.
I really liked listening to all of the stories I wasn't the only one that, pulled themselves up from their bootstraps, but to see how their life played out. I really loved hearing about Susan and her love and her development using food throughout her life. And I could identify with that. I mean, you go to your mom's house all the time, and are you hungry? You need to eat more. You look skinny. Have some more. Have dessert. Really loved hearing Rachel's story. And hers was more about her personal development. So even for me sitting back, I got to see the show, and I got to feel empowered and identified just listening to their stories.
We got to learn from each of the women on that stage. And I think one of the most powerful ongoing themes is you look at a woman, you see her role in the community, and you don't know the story behind the story. You don't know where she came from. You don't know where she grew up. You don't know her social economic status. And we all make assumptions, right, about women in our community. We all, there's gossip, there's rumors. We judge people. Guilty. We judge people, and we shouldn't, but I think it's human nature. But that's what she said breaks down those barriers. Like, we are now our hearts are out and open, and this is who I am. And it does create a sense of empathy and compassion, and I think love, so that we can understand that, we are more alike than we are different.
And I do love being surprised. I really do. So sometimes there will be someone, and in my mind, I have them in a box. Like, okay, I know exactly who they are based on the little bit of information. And then I hear their story, and I think, oh my gosh, that's not what I thought at all. And so I'm so glad that you shared the window and mirror with your story, and that now you are forever part of the sisterhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite, for being a speaker, and that's what she said. But thank you so much for coming back and spending another hour of your life with us.
Thank you for inviting me to coffee tomorrow.
Yeah, all right.
That's
so
really
I'll see you guys there. But I want to thank our fans and our friends and those who've supported That's What She Said through the years in so many communities. You were on stage in Danville. We're sitting here in Champaign right now. But the She Said Project is growing, and it's because women have something to say, and we're here to be a platform for that. So thank you for joining us today on the She Said Project podcast.
Over and out.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com.